What's up, everybody? Fulton here. Thanks for joining us for your weekly dose of Taylor Tech Review. There's been some really big announcements since our last video. We're going to do some analysis on Nvidia's Ampere presentation. We will talk about the upcoming AMD EPYC October. We are finally getting some prices and firm release dates for the next-gen consoles, and we're going to try and answer the ultimate question of life, the universe, and whether you should pre-order Ampere. Let's get started. Buy or not to buy? That is the question. So Nvidia had their big Ampere announcement from Jensen's Kitchen, and if you happen to miss it, the link's in the description below. As always, Jensen and company put on a heck of a leather-coated show with some very impressive demos and showing off features like DLSS 2.0, Nvidia Broadcast, and RTX I/O, which, just in case you know, is basically just support for Microsoft Direct Storage, which comes out sometime in 2021. We'll cover that more when it gets closer. While we didn't get an architectural deep dive, we did get a good overview of the Ampere architecture, and it looks very, very good. We found out that the number of tensor cores went up from 4,352 on the 2080 Ti to an insane 10,496 on the 3090 and 8,704 on the 3080, with most of the other specs we leaked before being proven pretty much dead on the mark. I was off the mark with the rumors I'd heard about ray tracing performance, though, quadrupling. Instead, it appears to have doubled. Nvidia is claiming in their slides that Ampere offers a 1.9x increase in power efficiency, but based off of the power usage of these cards, that number is pure 100% marketing. And while Nvidia did not raise prices again this generation, and that's always a welcome surprise with Nvidia, these things are still anything but cheap, with the 3090 essentially taking the place of the Titan card at $1,500, the 3080 coming in at $700, and the 3070 coming in at $500. Now, while they didn't raise prices, they also didn't lower them to what the 1000 series cost, with the 1080 selling for $600, the 1070 for $380. Though I don't think anybody actually expected Nvidia to lower prices. It's just been 4 years since those cards came out, so I thought I'd refresh you guys' memory on what they used to cost. Now that the unboxing NDA is up, a photo showing the 3090, 3080, and 3070 side by side has popped up on social media. We've seen these cards separately, but it's good to see them lined up together like this to get an impression of just how freaking huge the 3090 is. If you thought that the 3090 looked like a monster side by side, here's a pic of what it looks like in a case. To anyone buying this card, I hope your drive bays are removable and you buy an anti-sag device, or else the sheer weight of this card may bend and flex your motherboard to the point of causing some serious damage. Jensen called it right when he called it a BF GPU. What we didn't get was any actual benchmarks from Jensen, but they did do a sponsored video with Digital Foundry, who got a hands-on look at the 3080 and compared it to a 2080 non-Ti. That's kind of important to distinguish there. Digital Foundry showed Borderlands 3 running about 80% faster than the 2080. Shadow of the Tomb Raider ran 62 to 70% faster. Battlefield 5 showed a 68% boost, but for some reason they ran it with ray tracing turned off. Don't know why. Maybe there was some kind of early drivers thing. Control ran 77% faster, and Doom Eternal ran 80% faster. Now, hopefully none of you watching this just bought a 2080 Ti, or if you did, I hope you're still within your return policy, because Nvidia is claiming the 3070 is as fast as a 2080 Ti for a fraction of the price. Now, while we've got to wait till the 16th for the official reviews to come out, that hasn't stopped Video Cards, who's been scoring more scoops than Baskin-Robbins. First off, they scooped the specs for the 3060 Ti, showing it's a cut-down 3070 GA104 die with 4,860 CUDA cores, and has a October release date. That took even less time than I thought for them to reintroduce the Ti series. Rumor now has it that Nvidia may call the 16 and 20 gigabyte variants of the 3070 and 3080 Ti's as well. So Ti is coming back fat and hard. Ti is coming back hard. Video Cards also scooped a benchmark of the 3080 in the ashes of the Singularity database, and while this isn't a common benchmark these days, we did get some more comparison points with the 3080. running 26% faster than a 2080 Ti, 53% faster than a 2080 Super, and 65% faster than a 5700 XT. The next set of benchmarks comes from a more suspect website, so take these with a large grain of salt, but they do fall in line with the other benchmarks, so I'm going to include them. The 3D Mark results are showing between 25 and 45% better performance than a 2080 Ti, and 43 to 64% better than a 2080 Super. These next set of 3080 leaks are compared against a 2070 Super with Far Cry 5 running 62% faster, Borderlands 3 at 56% faster, Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 48%, and Forza Horizon 4 also running at 48% faster. Not quite the double performance they were talking about in the presentation, but you got to read past all the marketing BS. If you average the difference between the games, I'm guessing a 3070 will equal a 2080 Ti. The 3080 will probably be, on average, about 30% faster than the 2080 Ti, and a 3090 will probably be about 15% faster than a 3080. You also cannot judge performance based on the teraflop numbers because Jensen himself said that the 3070 has the same performance as a 2080 Ti, but the 2080 Ti has 13.4 teraflops while the 3070 has 20.4. So Nvidia basically admitted that there's a 35% difference between a Turing teraflop and an Ampere teraflop. Last up, Nvidia announced on Reddit that the GeForce RTX 3070 will be available on October 15th. And this is going to wrap things up for the Ampere info for now. Now it's time for some AMD news. On September 8th, AMD's chief architect of gaming, Frank Azor, dropped a cryptic tweet of the lyrics from the song Tomorrow from the old Annie musical. And sure enough, the next day, AMD announced not one, but two presentations coming in October, with Zen 3 being announced on October 8th and RDNA2 on the 28th. Now, AMD has been incredibly tight-lipped about RDNA2's performance. There's been virtually no leaks so far about actual performance up to this point. Just a lot of speculation. We already know that the RDNA2 series will be using the RX 6000 name after their little Fortnite Easter egg reveal. And then it will have 50% higher performance per watt than RDNA1. Now, we can infer a lot about RDNA2 from the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X specs that have been released. Things like the clock speeds, the PS5 hitting 2.23 gigahertz, which is about 15% higher than the clocks for the 5700 XT. We also know that the 5700 XT had 40 CUs, or compute units, and there have been leaks of 3 different RDNA2 GPUs so far, with Navi 21, aka Big Navi, reportedly having up to 80 CUs, Navi 22 having up to 64 CUs, and Navi 23 having 40 CUs. Now, scaling on GPUs isn't perfect, but if you take a 5700 XT, you double the CU count, and clock at 15% higher, we could have a real 3080 competitor on our hands. For instance, Hardware Unboxed just did a video where they benchmarked the 5700 XT on 14 games and found it offered equal performance to a 2070 Super at 1080p and 1440p and was just 5% slower on average at 4K. Link in the description for that. So again, I don't think it's out of the question that we could see RDNA2 competing with the 3080. I still think the 3090 is safe in its little $1,500 niche. I don't think AMD is going to quite hit quite go for that one. We do know that AMD is not using GDDR6X, that's a tongue twister, on RDNA2 because that was a collaboration between Nvidia and Micron. So right now, it's literally exclusively on Nvidia GPUs. We are also hearing quite a few rumors that AMD will be going with 16 gigabytes of RAM for their next-gen cards, which could be a big selling point for them. So I expect Nvidia to start talking about their 16 and 20 gigabyte variants before the 28th to reign on AMD's parade. Now, if you've been wondering about that big price gap between the $700 3080 and the $1,500 3090, this is where those higher capacity Nvidia cards will come in. We might see maybe a $600 16 gigabyte 3070 Ti and a $900 or maybe $1,000 20 gigabyte 3080 Ti get announced all before AMD's reveal on the 28th. Though from what I've heard, those higher capacity GDDR6X chips won't actually be available until sometime in 2021. So Nvidia may announce them, but I don't think they're actually going to come out until next year sometime. AMD really needs to deliver this time from their Radeon group. Their CPU division is just kicking ass and chewing bubblegum, and I expect the Zen 3 announcement will single-handedly make Intel stock drop 10%. Now we've got to wait and find out if the Radeon Technologies group can finally deliver high-end competition to Nvidia. So it's time to answer that ultimate question
of life, the universe, and everything is
So, after giving it some deep thought, I've come to the conclusion that it's in your best interest to wait for RDNA2 benchmarks, if at all possible. Unless your current GPU is dead, you really should wait to see what both Nvidia and AMD put on the table. Because even if Nvidia takes the performance crown, we may find AMD offering better price performance points, or coming in at much lower power usage, so you don't need to upgrade your power supply. Now, obviously, if your GPU is dead, you need something now, not next week or next month, and you should buy whatever is available. But if you can wait, I really, really think you should wait. I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I've got a 1070 that I will be upgrading to some card in this new generation. But I'm not going to do it until I can see everybody's cards on the table. I'm just not. I want to see what they've both got to offer before I bite. Tell me your predictions. Is AMD going to beat Nvidia, tie Nvidia? Are they going to come up short again? Tell me what you think in the comments. Okay, it's time for some console news. And we've finally gotten official confirmation from Microsoft on the Xbox Series S, which will sell for just $299. As expected, it is a cut-down Xbox Series X that was designed for 1080p and 1440p gaming. The Series S does not come with a Blu-ray drive, and it has 512 gigs of storage built in versus the 1 gig on the Series X. The CPU is virtually identical, same 8 cores, 16 threads, but it's clocked slightly lower at 3.6 gigahertz versus the 3.8 gigahertz of the Series X. The GPU is much more cut down than the CPU, with the GPU being cut down from the 56 CUs that's on the Series X to just 20 CUs on the Series S, and then throw in a 300 megahertz cut to the clock speed as well. Similarly, the RAM was also cut from 16 gigs down to 10, and the cut in specs for the Series S comes with a corresponding cut in the size of the console. As you can see in this picture, if you care, we've got a leaked picture of the retail box for the Series X as well. There have also been reports suggesting that the Series S will launch with a $25 a month Xbox All Access financing option, while Series X will be available for $35 a month. Meaning you may not have to fork out $300 or $500 for these at all. You basically sign up for a subscription plan for, I don't know, 2 years or something, and then your console's paid for, and you own it. Both consoles go on pre-order on September 22nd and are set to launch November 10th. One last little bit, the latest leaks on the PlayStation 5 point to a November 20th release date, but that's not official yet. Our last topic today is about the PCIe Gen 4 SSD war that's just getting started. Sabrent has announced their new Rocket 4 Plus SSD, which is hitting some absolutely insane speeds. The new Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus NVMe SSD, it's powered by Physon's new E18 controller, and it comes in 500 gig, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte capacities. Read speeds hit 7,000 megabytes per second, which is just nuts, and the writes are just as insane, pushing 6,850 megabytes per second in sequential writes. All this comes at the cost of heat, and to handle it, Sabrent has created a custom heatsink. Check it out in the pictures here. Now, you will need a PCIe 4.0 capable motherboard for this, which at this point is AMD only. So you'll either want to be on X570 or B550 motherboard with a really high-end CPU to take full advantage of this kind of speed. Now, Samsung accidentally outed their own 980 Pro NVMe drive and ended up pulling the webpage quick, but it was, this is the web. It's too late. It's already out there. But the real controversy here is that Samsung has changed a Pro-level drive to use a TLC flash instead of the MLC that they've always used previously. Now, just to put everybody on the same page, flash memory comes in 4 different types. You've got SLC, MLC, TLC, and QLC. SLC flash is the fastest, and it just holds 1 bit per cell. MLC holds 2 bits per cell, TLC holds 3, and you can see where this is going. QLC holds 4 bits per cell. Now, the more bits held per cell, the slower the flash memory is, and the less times it can be overridden before it becomes useless. Now, in the past, the Samsung marketing for their SSDs was pretty straightforward. If it was a Pro drive, it used the 2-bit MLC. If it was an Evo drive, it used the 3-bit TLC. And if it was a QVO drive, it used the 4-bit. But for whatever reason, with the 980 Pro, Samsung has decided to start using 3-bit TLC, but they used the 2-bit MLC name and decided to redefine what MLC stood for. Sneaky marketing at work here, guys. The devil's always in the details. Now, if you can't afford one of these Gen 4 drives, or maybe you don't have a PCI 4 motherboard, but you still want something fast and reliable, today you can pick up ADATA's 1 terabyte XPG SX8200 Pro for just $120 on Amazon. It's got 3.5 gigabyte per second reads and 3 gigabyte per second write speeds, and it'll keep your machine humming for a long time to come. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you sticking with me to the end here. Now, if you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like and subscribe buttons. It does help with Google and their algorithm. I'm going to leave you guys with a little clip of Starship SN6 going hop about. Until next time, take care.